Frankie Wainman Jnr. Hello. Right, this time next week you're flying to New Zealand.
Yep.
And you're going to race the Teams Championship.
Yes.
I think it's an event that over here in the UK, I think is getting more and more popular. People are more and more interested in it.
Yes.
So I thought, let's talk to you today and just explain it, because I don't get it. I've seen some clips on YouTube, I kind of see the big hits, but don't fully understand what Teams is.
Yes.
So can we talk through it?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So, what is Teams? Basically, start off, what is the Teams Championship?
Obviously in New Zealand, all the drivers are registered to a local track.
Yep.
So you have, say, 20 tracks.
Okay.
So you've got 20 sets of drivers. So that's where the teams come from, because all your drivers are from a local track.
Right.
So I think in this year we've got 16 teams in the Teams Championships. Over 2 nights, knockout first night to get to your last 4 for the finals on the Saturday night.
So Teams is a 2-day event.
Yep.
And is it unique, as in our World Finals once a year?
Yes.
Do they have the teams racing once a year, or is it?
Yes. The main Palmerston one is once a year. They do one at Auckland, which is as busy, but they do teams races throughout the season.
Okay.
At normal meetings, they'll do one race that's a team race for their drivers to get practice and learn the teams, which is kind of where we struggle a little bit because we never do it.
Yeah.
The racing in New Zealand is totally different because you always get drivers who will wait and take a driver out for somebody else to win a race. That is how their racing has always been.
In normal meetings?
Yes.
Right.
So you have got people learning to block and take people out in normal racing.
Right.
That is normal for their racing.
Okay.
Again, totally alien to what we do. The first time we all did it, I've never waited for a car and taken it out on purpose for somebody else to win it. It's not what we do, but that's how it is in New Zealand, and that's what adds to the spectacle of it.
Right. So Teams is a very different type of racing to the UK stock cars. And the Teams kind of event is, they don't do that all the time. It's not like what they do week in, week out.
No.
Okay, got that so far. Right. So 16 teams going to Palmerston.
Yep.
And so how many drivers are in a team?
So there's 6 drivers in a team.
Yep.
4 on track at a time. So you've got 2 reserves.
Okay.
All have cars nowadays, so that they've all got their own car, so they're fitted to them properly.
Yeah.
Because it is actually brutal. It is, when you watch the racing, it is brutal.
Because these cars are expensive cars.
Very.
Right. More expensive than ours? Right, okay.
They are, and I still can't get over what they actually do with them. You know, they potentially just write 3 or 4 cars off at teams, no issue at all. They just get on with it. It's a massive, massive part of their racing.
Okay.
It's what, so somebody in New Zealand who wins the teams as a team is kind of more famous than people who win the New Zealand Championship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to be a single winner in the championship. The teams is the biggest thing to a lot of drivers.
Okay.
It took us a long time to sort of work that out, to be fair. Like I said, we don't do anything like that. But over there, it is, you know, some drivers will only ever be interested in winning teams.
Right.
They will only ever want to win the teams champs.
Okay. So we've got 16 tracks. Each track gives the team to the Palmerston event.
Yep.
6 drivers per team, 4 on track at any one time.
Yes.
So how do people choose those drivers? Like what is it? So like
obviously, like I say, in New Zealand, they watch the racing, and like you say, normal racing, people will start blocking people and taking people out. That's how they pick who they want in their teams, because they're watching what happens. Over here, it's a little bit different in England. Me and Guy spend a lot of time, obviously, watching drivers in England to see if they've got it in them to do it.
Right. Okay.
You know, don't get me wrong. It's not just a simple job to do. You know, everybody says, "Oh, why do you have them? Why?" You've got to. Some drivers that we've taken to New Zealand to do the teams probably hardly even won a race in England.
Yeah.
But for teams, they had the right mental health state in their head and what they're doing and watching cars.
Okay.
It's totally different.
Right. Okay. So let's say talk about the black cars for a second. So that's one team. Right?
Yeah. So that's how the grid will line up.
Yep.
So you got the black team and the white team. That's how a grid is formed.
Okay.
Okay. So obviously, in a teams race, it's all about the first car over the line.
Yeah.
So your block cars don't do laps.
Right. So you've mentioned blocking and being a blocker. So let's take the black cars, right?
Yep.
So how many blockers do you have? What is a blocker's role?
It depends how you want to run the team, and obviously it depends what team you're against.
Okay.
It changes all the time, and within the team, you've got to be able to alter your role. Like if our fly car gets a flat tyre on the first lap,
So right, so that's another terminology that you just mentioned. So what's that?
A fly car,
yeah.
He's the one that's doing the running.
Okay.
So our car that's going to do the running, we have 2 cars usually that do the running.
Okay.
If one of them gets a flat tyre, the third car's then got to take over, and the number 1 car becomes a block car.
Right. Okay.
Because with a flat tyre, you're not, unless it's near the end of the team's race, you're not going to do 10 or 15 laps with a flat tyre and win the race.
Okay.
Even with a flat, in teams racing, because at some point in this team's race, there could only be 2 cars circulating, the rest could be waiting. It's weird to watch, and people are like, what are they doing? But it's cars that they've got to wait to take cars out.
Right, okay. I'm learning as we go in.
Yep.
So Team GB are the black cars, gone on track, and you've gone, right, you 2 are blockers, and you 2 are flight cars.
Yep.
Right, so the idea being that the flight cars are the ones that are going to try and be the cars and cross the line first. Okay, right, got that. Yep. So how do you decide where you start on the grid then?
Again, it depends what team you're against. You could be anywhere. You could have a fly car starting at the back.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't negotiate what you're doing in the race.
Right.
You could actually start anywhere. You could have your block car on the front. You could stand on the brakes and these 2 not go, and then you back up and go from the back. It's all just mind games and different stuff. Every race is different.
Right.
Every race is different. Some teams' races we go into, and there'll be a racing team, so they will all want to race. Some will go in, 1 will want to race, the 3 will want to block. So then you've got to take each team race as it comes.
So before each race then, you guys are sat there and you've got Guy and you're kind of going, right, this is how we're going to, almost like a football manager.
Yeah, absolutely. We run through what the team is and what we think those drivers will be doing, and then we talk between ourselves and the 4, right, you're going to do that, you're going to do that, you're going to do that. Okay. And then you work it between yourselves. And like I said, but the biggest part about it is drivers being able to change the role instantly. And
seeing kind of what's going on around them.
The biggest part's reading the race. You've got to be able to read the race.
So you mentioned, last kind of question on being a blocker or flight car, I suppose. You mentioned when you take people to New Zealand, it isn't always the best drivers.
Nope.
And you know, Frankie Wainman Jnr, your son, has kind of like, he did blocker role last year, and I saw stuff going, best blocker we've ever seen. But over here, you wouldn't go as a really hard, aggressive driver.
No,
so
not at all. That's what I'm saying to you. People don't. I don't know what it is. I enjoy blocking. Well,
that hurts though, surely.
Yeah, it hurts.
Right, okay.
People don't realise this. The hardest part in a team is the block car.
Yeah.
And it hurts. The hits you're getting, they hurt.
So why does he want to do that?
He enjoys it. Okay. I enjoy it. I do, and I don't mind it at all. But you've got to have something wrong with you upstairs. I think you've got to you've got to enjoy a bit. It's very rewarding, but it can hurt.
Yeah.
And if you accept that, and you know you're going to get hit, you get hit, and that's it, and you just get on with it. But some drivers can't get that, and they kind of back out of it at the last minute. You can't do that.
Right.
And that's where a good teams racer, worth his salt, will just put it on the line and stop there. And obviously for us as the fly cars, if I'm flying, I've got to know that Frankie will just sit there and take that car.
Yeah.
You know, and the trust.
Yeah.
You know, if he backs out of an issue, a situation where he thinks, oh, I don't want to be it, and then that leaves me open, I'm gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where the camaraderie between the drivers and knowing the drivers that are in the team is very important.
Yeah, no, I think that's come across really well in terms of it's very much team
absolutely
sport, and you need the trust of everybody around you to win.
You get one man taking the checkered flag, but it's the other 3 that win him the race.
Yeah.
He doesn't win the race, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
He just goes around the track. Do you see what I mean? It's the other cars that are the unsung heroes that don't take the credit, that do all the work.
Okay, get it. Good. Right. I understand the kind of the setup, and we're now on track, and I get that piece now. So, how many laps is a race? When do you start? Do you have a rolling lap? What does the start of a race look like?
So cars are graded up like that. Usually 10 laps.
Yeah.
The final's 15 laps.
Okay.
So it's still a long race.
Yeah.
You know, you've still got to do some laps, and some of them do take a long time because, like I said, obviously if you're a fly car and you're out on your own. So
let's you're there, you're the flight car, so you've gone, right? Does everybody go with you at the same time? Right. So
I might be the only one that go. It depends how they want to play the team, and in that situation, so I'm going. If I've gone and these lot are all here, then I'm kind of not wanting to do the fastest lap in the world. All I need to do is just sit here, watch my mirrors, watch what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
It's my job to get round, but when they've cleared up all this here, because as well as blocking, the blockers have got to try and protect me.
Yes.
I've got to try and get through without getting damaged, without getting a flat tyre, without them getting into my wheels. And it kind of all pans out, so you've got to watch everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're in a blocking roll, so this car here normally waits just sort of 2/3 into the corner, because that's the slowest part of the track. So then this car, he's back here coming round, he's got to get past this car.
Yeah.
So his only options is to hit him here, but bear in mind that's it's the slowest part of the track, so he isn't usually going to get enough speed there to move this car.
Okay.
So then obviously you've got to try and fly past him if you can, and then it's his job to come out and block him and get him in the wall.
Okay.
Just stop him any which way you can.
So in terms of hitting another driver, so what is permitted then? What can and can't
as long as the car you're hitting is pointing track direction.
Yeah.
So he's not facing that way. If he's facing that way, you can't hit him because he's in a non-attacking position.
Okay.
He then can't attack you. Anything past 90 degrees, he can hit you and you can hit him.
Right, okay.
So you're kind of vulnerable sat there.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be.
Yeah.
And this car can just run straight through you.
Okay.
And they do.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got 10 laps.
Yep.
You may have all 8 cars going, you
Yep.
might have 2 cars going.
Yep.
So let's say, right, so you're there, right, they've all sat there.
Yep.
And there's only these 2 gone.
Yep.
Right, so you're coming around here,
Yep.
you're in front of this one. What do you do then? Can you go in the middle?
No, not allowed on the middle.
So what would you...
Middle's a no-no in any
Right.
situation.
Okay.
If you get pushed on middle, you've got to give way and come back on behind the car that's pushed you on middle.
Right. Because I mentioned, here's
Very,
the pole
very strict.
line mentioned
Very strict
something.
on pole line.
That's the pole
If you're
line.
battling with the car here, and this car puts you on the middle,
Yeah.
you've got to wriggle in that position.
So you stop.
You've got to stop.
Right.
If he stops there, you've then got to loop round, come back on track, behind him.
Yeah.
You can't come off and hit him, you've got to come off behind him here.
Okay.
So he could just sit there and make you do that. What you can't do, you can't barge your way down the inside here and then come on in front.
Okay.
You'd basically get the team disqualified.
Right.
And it's very strict.
Yeah.
You know, they don't get away with it, which is kind of how the rules are so good, because you could do that easily. You could dive across the middle and win the race. You're disqualified.
Right, okay.
And that could be single disqualification or team disqualification.
Right. So big no-no for like going across the pole line.
Yes. Same as if you're going to come in and attack a car. If you touch the pole line and then hit him, you will be disqualified.
See, I saw something there's something happening in New Zealand 2-3 weeks ago. I saw and there's a big debate around whether
he touched the pole line.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't get it at all.
Yeah, and that's exactly that.
Right.
They're very strict on it, and it's good because, you know, you're the driver here. If you've got enough space between that inside where he can't get down on there without going on the pole line, you covered yourself, haven't you?
So you want to tuck in as tight as possible.
Absolutely. You don't leave that situation.
Okay, right. So going back to that.
Yep.
So you 2 have gone.
Yep.
And then you come around here and you can't get past, it's blocked. So you can't go in the middle, you can't go around the outside. So what do you do then?
Well, obviously these lot will be jockeying around and doing whatever they're doing. You know, usually one will come straight into this corner to wait for you.
Yeah.
There's not usually cars just sat down the straight.
Right, okay.
You know, because I could run straight into one of them.
Yes.
And that would hurt as well.
Yes. But you don't want to run in the back of somebody, do you? Because that's going to slow you.
You have to sometimes.
Right.
Oh yeah, Okay. The hits are massive, but it's hard to actually explain to people what the hits are actually like.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like just tapping and moving people out of the way. You're driving through cars. It's
impressive.
Yeah. It's bad on the body.
Okay. So you've been given roles.
Yep.
They've potentially changed as the course of the race has changed, and you know you've got a flat tyre, so somebody else needs to take up the running.
Yep.
So when you and Guy and whoever have sat down prior, do you kind of go, right, my number 1 role has been a blocker, but then my number 2 role is this, or is it just like you've got to use your brain and go, actually I need to do that?
We're all kind of told literally what your roles are, and if it goes wrong, what your second role is.
Okay.
But then you've got to keep an eye on everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of my job to keep an eye on everybody in the team to see who's going and who isn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's all right if you've got 2 good block cars.
Why is it your job?
Because I'm that experienced, most experienced at doing it.
Yeah.
And I can adapt to anything. I can run either role, and I enjoy either role, so it doesn't bother me in the slightest. But there's no use having 2 cars blocking if nobody's running.
Yeah.
So in that situation, one of the cars has got to think, I need to do some laps.
So you know, like when you're just going and reflecting on previous teams that Team GB have done. So what's been the downfall of why haven't you won? I suppose because you know it's very, very technical. It's very kind of lots of stuff going on here. Can you always identify we didn't win because of that?
Cars.
Right, okay.
Cars.
Right.
The quality of the cars over there now is so high, the calibre of every team's racing car. If you imagine years ago, every team would have one fast car.
Right.
And then 3 normal cars. They've all got 4 fast cars now.
Right.
Every team.
But some of them look different though. So is the block of car different look?
No. Tanks, they're exactly the same.
Right, so what is a tank? Because I've heard that expression.
It's just a different build of a car. It's exactly the same. It's the same dimensions, the same size, the same weight. It's just a tank.
Right, okay.
It gets in your head. Because when you come to hit a tank, it looks heavier, it looks bigger. I don't know what it is, but they're good at blocking, and they are.
Right.
They're more central. The cars are more central usually, they used to be. But like I said, nowadays every team has got 4 proper fast cars.
Okay.
And we do struggle to get 4 or 5 top cars.
Yeah.
We can usually get 2 or 3, but over the years we've been let down by the one that's just not fast enough to get that hit and do that. We are getting better at, we are getting better cars now. It's hard to expect somebody to give you a car to,
of course,
do this with.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Who would do that? and it's taken me a lot of years to realise that. Why are these people? They just love it.
Yeah,
they love it. Some of the teams we're involved with over there, they just love this bit and us going over to race their cars.
So I understand race 1 of Teams Championship, got 4 cars. That's one race. So how do you then progress? So the winner of that race is the first car over the line.
Yes.
So then how do you progress to win teams? What's the...
Depending on how many teams are actually in the event, the best scenario is, I think on 16 you win your group.
So a bit like football?
Yes. You win your group.
Yeah.
So you win both your races, you're then through to the quarterfinals. Depends, if there's an odd amount of teams, it starts going on to points, which then gets a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
Because your other cars have to finish.
Okay. Right, yeah.
And again, different mindset, because you're not just trying to stop everybody, you've also got to finish the race.
Yes.
And beat some of those cars. Okay. In the quarterfinals, semi-finals and the final, it's just first across the line.
Yeah.
So you only need 1 car over the line.
Yeah, okay.
And then it's a different mindset completely, because you just want that 1 car.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. And in terms of people going to watch teams, the stadium looks big, it's beautiful, it's beautiful.
Every year.
And how many people are going to watch? Do we need to get a guy into like
20,000, I would have thought.
That's like some
2 nights. But it's sold out in advance.
Right.
Every year.
Yeah.
But the spectacle is something, and you can explain it and you can watch it on telly, but until you actually go and do it, and you're there in the moment, the people just don't get it.
I've seen there's I've seen video footage of you guys, especially when you've kind of done well and you're climbing up the fence and it's euphoric almost.
The biggest part about it for me was when we first started doing this, I didn't know how we were going to be accepted, if that makes sense, because we're a different country. But we kind of found that people support us, other teams support us when we're racing against other teams, if that makes sense. We kind of come as second favourite of people. So you have a lot of crowd support every race you do. And it has been really, the emotions, that they just love it. They love the fact that we go over and do this.
Yes. Yeah,
and
it's a huge commitment on your part, isn't it?
It's a big effort. The amount of effort Guy puts into everything to do with this is just huge. Okay. But they appreciate it. And you've seen the raw emotion of some of the young kids, Charlie and Yella and all that last year, and it just gets you. It's just unbelievable.
Okay, good. It sounds fantastic. When you're there, is it 3 weeks? Do you get much preparation time?
No, not usually.
Practice. You're saying that guys practice.
That is part of our problem, because obviously we've managed over the last few years. We've managed to get the week before teams. We do get a teams race in Auckland. Yeah. So that's our first teams race. Some of these drivers will have been teams racing all year. They'll have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meetings where the teams raced. So they get into it. But sometimes our first teams race is our first teams race.
Yeah. Okay, understand. And is there a particular team that's always like number 1 or number 2? They're the favourites.
It's changed over the years. Right. Palmerston North used to be the best team, then gisborne came in. Last year, none of the top teams on paper qualified for the second night. Okay. Except us. And it was like, it can go so wrong so easy.
Yes.
You know, it's
you need to look. It's like stock cars, isn't it? You need a flat tyre. Could cost you
absolutely.
The race.
You know, some of the finals we've been in. One year we had a final against, I think it was Palmy, and I rolled Peter Rees over, and I got the hit. Rolled Peter, absolutely superb. He got back on his wheels and carried on. My fuel pump packed up.
Yes.
You can't legislate for that.
Yeah.
It just happened. So they're up a car, we're down a car. But it was my hit, and it should have been the other way around. But that's just the roll of the dice and how it goes. It's so, you need a lot of luck.
And you know, like I said at the very, very beginning, I've seen clips on YouTube of the big hits.
Yep.
You know, from meeting start to meeting end, is that what it's like, or is it there's a lot of kind of tactical racing going on?
There's a lot more tactical racing.
Okay.
You know, a lot of the big hits you see are drivers who shouldn't have put themselves in that position. Who's
being hit?
Yeah.
Right.
They're trying to be too fast. They think they can outrun the car. Like I say, it's kind of one of my biggest jobs to try and keep our team safe. You know, I ask these drivers to go out there and do this, but I'm very insistent that they stay safe.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to get a hit, just back up, let them hit you.
Yeah.
Stop.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? If you're going at full speed and they hit you, you're going in the wall. And all the big hits you see are drivers that don't think they can outrun that.
Yeah.
You never can.
No, that makes sense.
You never can.
It's been absolutely. I think we've covered it. Is there anything that I've not covered?
I don't think so.
I mean, I've come into this going, don't really know anything about it. Let's talk to you.
Yeah.
I understand it a lot more in terms of how a race works, how the championship works, and what guys are doing.
Yeah.
When
the hardest for people watching is they don't understand why these cars aren't racing. It's not a racing effect.
Yes.
There's probably maybe only 2 cars in the race, and it's about these cars looking after these 2 cars.
Yeah.
They're for their team and them for their team.
Yeah.
And that is, you know. Obviously these 2, if they're running as well, like they'll be battling each other, but if he's wanting to take him out, he can't be damaging himself.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
You've got to do it tactfully and carefully. It's all right going in on a big massive hit, taking a pair of them out, but you've not gained anything.
No, of course
you've
not.
Lost 2 cars.
Yeah, you've got these, yeah.
That's it. So you haven't gained anything. You've got to be a little bit careful with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. It's quite, it's not just a smash fest.
No, I think that's what people think it is.
No, definitely not. And like I said, the calibre of car and driver that's in it now is just phenomenal. And obviously, you know, the spectacle's just immense.
And Team GB have like been announced in terms of who's going over, and I think from how you've described it, it's great that it's the same drivers team. Almost, because then you know what you're doing. And
we've said over the years, if we can keep the team together of drivers who will do it, you've more chance, because when we get there next year, we all know the cars, we all know what we're doing, we all know each other, and the trust's there straight away, as in we know what he's going to do, we know what he's going to do. And that's the hardest thing with picking a team is, you know, there's drivers in England that can be fast, they've won world championships, they've won this, they've won that. They wouldn't go in a team's race.
No.
They would not go in a team's race.
No.
So, you know what I mean?
You want to
you got such a money, right?
Yeah, you want to be
They won't do it.
Yeah.
You know, you need drivers who will take a hit.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Thanks so much.
No problem.
I think we've covered it, and I hope people watching have got a bit more of an understanding.
Yep.
When's it start? When's it?
It'll be 5th and 6th, is it? I think 7th and 8th.
Yeah.
7th and 8th, first weekend of February. Yeah.
Because.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, you can watch it. People can watch the live stream.
It'll be a live stream, and it'll be massive. The live stream will be massive. The coverage is good. They do pit coverage, damage coverage.
Are they as good as me?
They get in there. I've got to be honest.
Good.
You need to step up a bit. But yeah, no, they get everywhere. They're down behind the crews. You know, the big races. They go down and interview the drivers. Some of them don't want interviewing because they can't breathe, but they do interview. But they do get right in amongst them. It is good, but that's what the crowd want to see. They do want to see that side of it and what the drivers are going through. And
of course,
yeah,
of course. Thanks so much, and good luck when you go over there.
Thank you.